Chapter 4, The Recurring Nightmare. On the fourth night, I saw the nightmare for the first time. The thing that distinguishes this type of dream from ordinary dreams is awareness. In an ordinary dream, you're submerged in it, not knowing it is a dream. In this type, I knew with absolute certainty that I was asleep and that what I was seeing was not reality. But this knowledge gave me no ability to control or to wake. I was conscious inside a prison made of sleep. The place was a room I had never seen before, narrow with walls of dark, damp black stone, its ceiling so low that if I stretched my hands I could touch it. In the room was no furniture, no door, no opening at all except one window in the opposite wall, a window without glass or frame, just a rectangular hole in the stone looking out onto total blackness that hinted at no depth. The light in the room came from an invisible source, not yellow and not white. It was a pale green, like the color of stagnant water in the first weeks of spring when algae begin to grow. This light made everything appear without shadow, the stones, my hands, everything evenly lit by that pale green light that made the world seem inverted. I knew in the dream, with the same quiet certainty for which you don't know the source, that I must not approach the window. I knew this as, things in dreams without knowing how you came to know them. Do not approach the window is dangerous, the window is an open mouth of something you do not want to see. But I was walking toward it. Every night, I would begin the dream standing in the far part of the room and walk toward the window step by step. Despite my absolute certainty that this was what I must not do, my feet walked with a will not entirely my own, as if something was pulling me with a thread I felt in my chest, not in my feet. A gentle, steady pull. In the first night, I reached the window and looked into the darkness and saw nothing. The darkness outside was dense as a substance, not as an absence of light. Then from the depths of that darkness, something emerged. A human face, but inverted. I mean that literally in the embodied physical sense, as if the skin had been split along the midline of the face and folded outward. The face displayed what lay beneath the skin, dark red flesh and thin blue veins in a regular and terrible pattern, but the eyes were in their correct places, the whites of the eyes clear in the center of all that exposed flesh, and they were looking at me, not with hostility, not with hunger, not with fear, with complete calm. The gaze of someone who has known you for a long time and is pleased to see you. Then the face moved, it opened its mouth. Remember, the mouth was also inverted, the lips folded outward to expose the teeth from behind, and it said something. I heard no sound, I saw the lips moving. I saw the words being formed, but every time I woke, I could not remember what it had said exactly. I could not remember the words, but I always remembered the feeling it left in me. The feeling of someone telling you something you also know, but have forgotten for a long time, as if it was reminding you, not teaching you. The same nightmare repeated on the 5th, 6th, and 7th nights, without interruption. Each time I reached the window faster than the time before. On the 2nd night, I needed 3 fewer steps. On the 3rd, I was already nearby from the start. On the 4th, I began the dream, standing directly at the window's threshold. The face each time said something different, but I could not remember it on waking, except on the 5th night. On the 5th night, I was at the window threshold, as had become usual, and the inverted face before me at a short separating distance, when it said something and I remembered it for the first time. It said, where the key is. I woke. My hand was stretched toward the actual window of the room. I got up trying to breathe calmly. My phone's light, 2:42. I looked at my outstretched hand and then brought it back to my side. On the wrist of my outstretched hand was a bruise, a fresh bruise in the shape of grasping fingers, 4 fingers and a thumb, clear as the imprint of a hand, the skin slightly reddened at the edges, and in the center, blue dark beginning to show a very recent bruise, fresh enough to feel its warmth when pressed, as if something had grabbed my hand from the other side of the window while I slept. I photographed the bruise and sent it to Najat without any explanation at 3 in the morning. She replied after 2 minutes. Perhaps she was awake too for one reason or another. My God, Youssef, who grabbed you? Are you all right? I did not answer. In the morning, I noticed the bruise was not the only thing the night had left on the wall. Above the head of my bed was a new scratch mark, one horizontal scratch deep in the plaster, about 20 centimeters long. The plaster had fresh broken edges. This scratch had not been there yesterday. I told Fatima about the bruise. She saw it and fell silent for a long time, then said, Youssef, you must go to a sheikh. I said, I don't believe. She cut me off. I'm not asking what you believe. I'm asking you to go. Just go. On the 6th day, I decided to open the western room. I spent a full hour searching the whole house for the key in the drawers, in the cupboards, under the sofas, behind the photos. No key. Then I remembered the nightmare. You know where the key is. I looked at my father's box under the bed. I opened the box. Inside were my father's familiar papers, the certificates, the old letters, the property documents, yellow photos from the 60s and 70s. At the bottom of the box, under a layer of papers, was a small cloth bag tied with a string. I opened the bag, an old long iron key, longer than usual keys, with a double cross-shaped end. I held it heavy in an unexpected way for its size, and I felt something strange when I held it that I could not explain until much later. I felt it knew I was holding it. I went to the western room. I put the key in the lock. I turned it once. The lock did not open. I turned it the other way, the sound of heavy iron shifting, and the lock opened. I pushed the door. The air that came from the room was shockingly cold, refrigerator cold, the cold of a place the sun never reaches, and in it that smell again, the one beneath the huge smell in the main room, now without any covering animal, old. The smell of a place that had not breathed clean air for a very long time. The room was empty. 8 square meters of dark stone, a broken clay jug in the corner, and on the southern wall, a rectangular wooden board. There was something written on it. I could not bear to look at it in that moment. I closed the room and went out to the courtyard and sat on the stone threshold, trying to breathe the clean outside air and drive the cold of that room from my chest. In that moment, I understood clearly and completely that I could not leave this house without confronting what was in it. And the confrontation would need more than I had. I needed someone who knew,